Hi, 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 hi. Right, anyway. Hi and welcome to my channel. I'm Simon and today I am back with my July wrap up. So all the books that no, that's not true anymore. Some of the books that I've been sent by publishers, because I get quite a lot of unsolicited books that I don't necessarily want to read. Some that I really do that I include. I will be chatting about all the books that I bought, as I mentioned. That was the door. I'm ignoring it. I know who it is. It's Jehovah's Witnesses. There's no hope for me. It's too late. So let's get cracking with the books. And first up, as always, I'm going to be chatting about books. I only held them all up then. That would have ruined the surprise. I am going to start with books that I have mentioned on the channel before when they've come in proof form, and these are finished editions. So first up we have, actually that's not 100% true, but first up this is a finished edition, and this is Claire Keegan's So Late in the Day. I think I'm going to give this to Mum. I have a proof edition that I will get to before it comes out in September, but Mum really loved some things, small things like these, and I really didn't, so I think she'll get more of it. I think Mum will get loads out of it. I don't think I will. Then a book that I'm very excited about and actually will be reading over this weekend, because I'm going to head to two books I'm super excited about. That's all right with the disco beats. Thank you. Anyway, I'm going to be heading to two books that I'm really excited about, and this counts as one that I've had on my shelves for ages because I had the original proof that didn't look like this and have the what will be basically the finished hardback cover that is so stunning. It's C. Pam Zhang's Land of Milk and Honey. I really loved her debut novel. This I think is completely and utterly different. I'm desperate to read this and I want to get better at picking books up when I'm just in the mood for them. And actually from the 1st of August, for the whole of August, I'm going to be reading by whim and documenting it. So yeah, anyway, that's what I'll be heading to this weekend. So that's another one. I have mentioned The Seven Skins of Esther Wilding by Holly Ringland on here a couple of times, I think, because I bought the Australian edition when it came out. Still haven't read it, so naughty me. This is the UK paperback edition from the folk at Legend Press, which I've also shown you the proof of. So there we go. I might do a giveaway of this or something, maybe on Instagram at some point. Then we have Open Throat by Henry Hoke. I have read this already. It's about a queer mountain lion in LA. I'll say no more about it than that because I'll be talking about it in my May, June and July wrap up on Wednesday. Then we have The Future by Adam Thirwell, which I wasn't sure if I wanted to read. However, I've just seen loads of people talking about it on Instagram in the last couple of days and saying it's one of the best historical novels they've read because it's really different and a bit of a wild ride. That sounds like that is all I need to know. And so I'll be heading to that in due course. Then this is the stunning finished copy of Open Up by Thomas Morris. This is a short story collection. I've had his debut collection on my shelves for ages and I've wanted to get to that. I'm really keen to get to this too. Don't know what it's about. I don't really like to know too much before I go into a book. I don't like blurbs. I realised the other day that's one of the reasons that I like Persephone books so much. Well, that's not true. I have read one recently, but I don't want to give anything away. I'm currently turning one of the spare rooms into a Persephone bookshop themed room. It's very exciting. Moving on. Ootlin by Jenni Fagan. This is her memoir. I think this is going to be an absolute heartbreaker. I've met Jenni a few times. I think she's fantastic, so I'm really keen to read this very soon. A favourite author of mine, and their first short story collection in quite a long time is Kate Atkinson's Normal Rules Don't Apply, and I shall also be reading this over the weekend. How stunning is that cover? Honestly, the cover games. And actually, speaking of stunning covers, this is going to appear twice in this video because this was very kindly sent to me from the folk at Picador because I was hosting an event with Kate Moss about the Ghost Ship in Liverpool. I have bought myself a copy, the indie bookstore copy, which you wait till you see those spreads later on in this video. So I'm giving this to my mum. I got Kate to sign it, so that's another one for her. She's doing very well out of this. And then another book that I spoke about a while back, I think, because I was sent it, or did I order it from Australia? Anyway, this is Seeing Other People by Diana Reid. And people are saying that Diana Reid is kind of the Australian answer to Sally Rooney. That could be an amazing thing, or it could be an awful thing, depending on your thoughts on Sally Rooney. But her debut novel got so much hype in Australia, and I have that on my shelves too, so I really need to get to her work. Ultimo Press are now publishing books in the UK, which is super duper exciting because I love me some Australian fiction. I haven't read enough, but I do have one particular Australian novel that I'm desperate to get to and will be reading in my month of whim reading. Last but not least, the books that I've shown you before came in this amazing package. It says sit somewhere comfortable and dig in. And inside, sorry, sit yourself somewhere comfortable and dig in. I shouldn't try and read things on the screen because it's backwards to me. Came with an apron, which is very apt because this evening my mum and my stepbrother are coming and I'll be cooking for them. So there we go. It says, when was the last time you had a meal like this? And there's also a postcard and a paperback. This is not a paperback novel. This is a bookmark with Family Meal by Brian Washington, for that is what is in here, along with sweet potato snacks, a choco pie, some tissues to wipe away crumbs or tears, a little candle, a marine buoy, I don't know what those are, and then also a proof of Family Meal by Brian Washington with a press release in it. That matches the finished copy. The original proof that I have looks very different, so there we go. I might do a video on proofs and how different they look. Moving on to other books from publishers, and two of my most anticipated books of the year next. I'm so excited for them, that I haven't mentioned before. Natalie Haynes' Divine Might. This is Women, Monsters and Goddesses. I'm so excited for this. I loved Pandora's Jar and I think this is going to be incredible. My mum will be absolutely jealous of that. Then we have Orbital by Samantha Harvey. This is her new novel, very short. It's about a crew who go out to space, and I think it takes place over the one day they orbit the Earth. I just think this is going to be amazing. That cover is stunning. I mentioned this in my mid-year freakout tag as one of the books I was most excited for, so there we go. I forgot to mention this, but it is. Oh, and I should say, this is out in September and this is out in November. Then a book that I saw on Instagram and commented to the publishers Unbound that this sounded really interesting. It's Last Dance, the Discotheque for Deviants by Paul David Gould. Now, this is set in Russia, which is not a country I particularly want to be promoting for quite obvious reasons, I'm sure. However, this is about what it's like to be queer there, and that I think will be fascinating, grimly fascinating probably, but something that I'm very keen to know more about. So we have that. Then we have Day by Michael Cunningham. This is out next January. I've only read a couple of Michael Cunningham's books, but he's an author that I'm really keen to read more of. And actually, Hanya Nagahara told me that I should read one of his books. I can't remember which one now. And I will at some point, because I'm going to do, I know I say this all the time, but at some point I will do a vlog where I read 3 books that Hanya recommended to me, including a Michael Cunningham book. The title has completely and utterly gone from me. Is it Her Home at the End of the World? Or is it Specimen Days? It's one of those. Anyway, this is Day. Don't know anything about it. It's out in January. Then we have Wednesday's Child by Yi-Yun Lee. This is a short story collection, and Yi-Yun Lee is an author I'm really keen to read. Haven't got around to yet. Have a few of her books on my shelves. I feel like could be a favourite author, and I feel like I need to make, I feel like a lot of things, I feel like I need to make a video where I read a book by lots of the authors who I've been sort of stockpiling books, because I think they'll be a favourite, and then I get either too nervous to read them or just being a bit of a magpie, don't get to them when I initially, well, within a certain amount. I don't think there should be a rule about that actually, so I'm just bypassing that. Moving on, I have been sent The House with the Golden Door by Elodie Harper. I believe I have The Temple of Fortuna on its way. These are the follow-up novels to The Wolf Den. I should say, Head of Seas very kindly sent my mum a copy of this as well, so I mean, she's doing really well out of this, frankly. So it's the next book set in Pompeii. This is one of the books that I'm most excited about, but it's quite a new, well, it's a book I've only heard about recently and become obsessed with. It's Family Law by Elizabeth Acevedo. It's about a woman called Flora who has a gift for predicting when people are going to die, and it's about the situations that she finds herself in. I think when there's a family reunion, and I just think that sounds like the most incredible premise. And in my head, this could be one of my absolute favourite books of the year. I haven't done a 5-star predictions video for ages. Maybe I need to do one of those too. The lovely folk at McNally Edition sent me 2 books, and it was because I was saying how I was really in the mood for sapphic love stories. I bought myself one that I knew they published, which we'll be talking about in a bit, but they very kindly sent me A Green Equinox by Elizabeth Maver and The Girls by John Bowen. I love their covers. They're all so different, but so brilliant. Very excited for both of those. I have a McNally shelf just there that I'll be joining soon. A non-fiction book that I've been really, really keen to get and have seen rave reviews and conversations, well, really fascinating conversations surrounding it in America, is Stay True by Hua Shu. And this is a memoir, I believe, of someone whose friend committed suicide. That's not the right term, is it, anymore? I think this is going to be really, really, really powerful. I'm going to pop that there because I don't want to all over. Then 2 books that I've got for a event that I'm doing for work in September. I'm taking August is the next month, isn't it? It's not March, Simon, sort yourself out. I'm taking August off events. However, I will be doing my first event in September with Sarah Pascoe. It's actually about her debut novel, Weirdo. However, I thought it would be good to read her non-fiction too in advance. So I have Animal and I have Sex, Power, Money, and I'm really, really intrigued for them. Sarah Pascoe presents the Great British Sewing Bee here in the UK and is also a comedian, and just I think she's really, really funny, so I'm really, really, really looking forward to that event. I will link it down below if you're in the area. And then I will also be doing an event with 2 authors, the first of which is Julie Owen Moylan. This is 73 Dove Street. This sounds like it's a great historical novel. The other author is going to be Kate Sawyer, who's The Family. I'm really, really keen to read, so really looking forward to that. That's towards the end of September, so we have this one for work. I should have said that's another book for work. The next lot aren't. We've only got 6 more to go before we talk about books that I bought myself. This, I was like, do I want to read it? Or I'm not sure. And then I was like, oh, it's a really limited run. I feel very lucky to have been sent it. I haven't read any of the authors of the books, but one of them I was intrigued by. And this is The Fury by Alex Michaelides, and he wrote The Silent Patient, which people raved about. And then I think, did he do one that was sort of about classical godsy or classical academics? Are they the same thing? My mother might say they are. She's a classicist. So I'm going to give this one a whirl. It's out in January, I think. Early next year, anyway. Then we have My Work by Olga Rav. Now, this isn't going to look like this. This is an early copy. This is the author of The Employees, which I read, was it last year or the year before, and absolutely loved. Really, really different from Lolly Editions. This is out in September. I don't know what it's about. When they messaged me and said, oh, Olga's got a new novel, would you like to read it? I was like, yep, I certainly would. And so I shall go into it blind and see what happens. Then, and I never talked about this, or did I? I think I might have mentioned it on the Sky Arts Book Club, but I didn't really talk about it on this channel. But it's a book that I really, really enjoyed. And it was The Maid by Nita Prose. And this is The Mystery Guest, out in January, which is a new Molly Maid story. And that I'm really, really excited for. When I opened it, I just realized, ooh, that's a really pleasant surprise. What I might do is when I read this, I'll talk about The Maid at the same time maybe, because yeah, I didn't really mention that. I am trying to work out how, when there's been books that I've either read for work things or just not talked about for whatever reason, but I really enjoyed, how do I bring them back onto the channel at a different point? Let me know if you've got any suggestions for that. I'd be really, really interested. Then we have North Woods by Daniel Mason, and this sounds fascinating. This is something me and Mum were talking about actually when we last saw each other. Are there any books that are told from the perspective of a house? And then North Woods has arrived. This tells of a house which is over 400 years, is home to a young Puritan couple on the run, an English soldier with a dream, inseparable twin sisters, a lovelorn painter, a lusty beetle, a desperate mother, a haunted son, a ruthless conman, and a stalking panther. It sounds amazing. And also inside, I think this is lovely because I think it's quite a lot about nature. You can plant this page in your garden and seeds will grow, and flowers, no, that is seeds. Flowers will grow from the seeds. Can you tell that I ditched science quite early? And ultimately from publishers we have The Vulnerables by Sigrid Nunez, which is out in January. Now I have to say, I have sort of not avoided Sigrid Nunez necessarily, but I was sent a friend and I just didn't think it would be for me. It sounded a bit saccharine about someone who looks after the dog of their friend who's died. However, it got so many rave reviews, it has been tempting me, but this cover I was instantly just obsessed with. And this is set in New York, where a group of, or is it Manhattan? 3 strangers are thrown together in one Manhattan apartment: a solitary writer, a Gen Z college dropout, and a spirited parrot named Eureka. That made me think a little bit of Sarah Women's Still Life, because if you know, you know, if we're talking parrots. And yeah, I just, something about this was like, this is the Nunez for me to start with. So I will be before it's out next year. And last but not least, I asked for this because I really, really like the author. She's a radio and TV presenter here in the UK, and I just think she's brimming with joy, so I feel like her book will be. It's Anita Rani's Baby Does a Run. And I have to say, this cover and the title don't necessarily appeal to me so much. However, when I saw Anita talking about it on her Instagram, it's about a young woman who I think goes to India to find out more about herself or her family, and that really, really intrigued me. So I was like, yeah, I want to read that. Right, I'm going to put these over there and get the books that I bought myself. There's quite a few. But back on the theme of books that I have shown you on the channel before, because I had the proof of Yomi Adegoke's The List, but I decided to get myself a finished copy. Sometimes I think, oh, I'm not sure about this cover at all, and other times I think it's utterly genius, but I love purple, and yeah, I just thought, right, I'm going to get a finished one, because I'm fairly sure I'm going to absolutely love this, as I am Yellowface by Rebecca F. Kwang. I've shown the proof of this before. Everyone's talking about this. I feel like I don't need to really explain more. And then I've shown this in the video already, but it is the aforementioned The Ghost Ship by Kate Moss. And this is the independent bookshop edition, which I ordered from Harris & Harris because I love them dearly. Look at that spreading. That is stunning. So yeah, I've read it, loved it. I'm actually quite pleased. I think I've read quite a few. There's so many books, but I have read some, and that seems to be occurring more often, which I'm really, really enjoying. And secondhand books that I got Rose Tremaine's Letter to Sister Benedicta. I love Rose Tremaine. I believe she has a new novel coming this autumn, which I'm very excited about. Don't know anything about it, but want to read all of her work. I got this gorgeous Virago edition of Dancing Girls by Margaret Atwood. I just couldn't resist. It was absolutely stunning. It was 50p. What more can you say? As was this. And then I got myself this copy of Man Overboard by Monica Dickens, who is my favourite author with this name Dickens, and she is, I think, Charles Dickens' great-great-granddaughter, I believe. I think that's right. I hope I'm not making things up. Anyway, my favourite author with the surname Dickens. Monica has quite a few books published by Persephone. I'm not sure if this one is, but I'm also slowly but surely collecting editions of her books because I love them. I need to read another one of those soon. Then 2 random books. Can you guess where I'm thinking of going on holiday? Anytime soon. There we go. Still books bought this month. The Bleeding. This caught my eye in West Kirby Bookshop, which we'll be talking about later on because I went a little bit wild in there, but it was their first birthday and I would have been arrested if I hadn't, frankly. Somebody picked it up first, so I then got it in, which bookshop did I get it in? I want to say Waterstones. I only said Waitrose, that's wrong. Anyway, this is The Bleeding by Johanna Gustafsson, and it just sounds like a really great historical crime thriller, and I think it might be the beginning of a series. It's about murder, it's about black magic, and it's set in 1899, 1942. Did you notice I tried to look away those if I had memorised it? I hadn't. And 2002, and it's set in Paris and Quebec. And I was like, right, I need to read this. I should say it is translated by David Warriner. I don't know what language from. I'm assuming French. Doesn't say. They should say that as well. What language is it translated from? And also they should put the translators on the cover. So there. Then a book that I have had imported from America is Greenland by David Santos Donaldson. This is the fictionalized account of a potential love affair that Ian Forster had with a young Egyptian man. And that sounds fascinating, but I think also it's a bit meta, and it's about David Santos Donaldson writing the book about that. That intrigues me a lot. So yeah, we've got that one. Quite a few of you recommended this as a perfect summer gothic read, and so I picked it up because I listened. I need to get better at writing notes of who's recommending them because I want to give them credit anyway. Uncle Paul by Celia Fremlin. I mean, it's very seasidey. There's blood on the corners. I think it's going to be great. It was pitched really well by you all, so thank you very much. Then, as I mentioned, I had ordered myself a sapphic love story from McNally Editions. This is Winter Love by Han Soo-yin. Very excited for it. Don't know much about it other than, what was it that sparked me wanting to read? Oh, Mrs. S. That's what it was. I was like, oh, I really enjoyed that. I'd like to read some more saucy sapphic shenanigans, and so I will be. Then I picked up Chlorine by Jade Song. This the cover, need I say more? Looks like there's going to be mermaids in it. I've also heard it's utterly weird and wacky and bonkers. I did plan on reading it over one sunny weekend along with a couple of the books. Didn't get around to it, but I will do in due course. I'm really, really excited for this. So yeah, mermaids, I'm here for it. The next two books are books that were up for the Miles Franklin Award, and I was going to try and read the whole shortlist, but I didn't get around to it. I am planning on doing a video where I read prize winners of 2023, and so I will read the winner. This didn't win in the end. It's The Lovers by Yumnam Kasab, but it sounded really, really interesting. Loved the cover, and so yeah, I thought, right, I'm going to give it a whirl, because I really want to head to more work by Australian writers. The next book won, and these two I should say are both available in England, because the next one I ordered from Australia along with some other books. Funny that. This won the Miles Franklin Award this year. It is Chai Time at Cinnamon Gardens by Shankari Chandran, and I saw Natali read this recently, and I'll link her channel down below, and she had mixed feelings about it. It's set in a care home, and I think, or an old people's home, and I am fascinated by those as settings. It's a bit like books set in hotels or set in apartment blocks, where you just get a really interesting mix of characters. But I also think this is quite a political book and looks at race and refugees, and I think is going to be really, really, really fascinating. The other book that was shortlisted that I ordered from Australia, along with 3 other books, was A Hopeless Kingdom by Kashak Akek, and I have no idea what this one's about. It was a shortlist purchase, and sometimes we do that. We see a prize list and think, I'm going to read those. Normally we try and do it before the winner. I failed. This is not an Australian author. This is Fernanda Melchor's This Is Not Miami, and this is the first of her non-fictions to be translated, I think. And who's it translated by, actually? I should tell you that because it's very important. Wait one second. Yes, translated from Spanish. Thank you for letting us know, text. Translated from the Spanish by Sophie Hughes. I saw Benjamin Green, I'll link his channel down below, talk about this, and it sounded amazing. I feel bad saying this because I really like what Fitzcarraldo are doing, but because their books are either blue if they're fiction or white if they're non-fiction, I don't know, I find that a bit dull, whereas like that's just a really lovely cover, which is so daft because what do you see on the shelves? The side. I don't set any of my books out that way. I don't have enough room. I also had seen Sarah Schmidt raving about this. It's Exquisite Corpse by, why can I not read the font on that? Hang on. It's the same in here. Margia Perisic? I'm sorry if I've said that wrong. Anyway, Sarah Schmidt says on the cover, jaw-dropping, and I love Sarah Schmidt, and I love her dark, quirky sense of humour, and this sounds like it will be just that sort of novel. So yeah, very excited for that one. And then we have After She Wrote Him by Sorari Gentile, which is a mystery novel, I think in a series. Oh, it says it's a piece of meta-fiction with a wildly inventive twist on the murder mystery genre. But I got, which one of hers have I got already? This one, The Woman in the Library, and I love these funky cover editions, so yeah, I picked that one up too. Now, on to some books that I bought when I had mini binges in bookshops, the first of which was the British Library. I had a meeting in there and then I had a little bit of time to kill before I got the train home. And so I picked up 3 of their British Library crime classics because it was 3 for 2 offer. The first of which was 7 Dead by J. Jefferson Fargion, who wrote Mystery in White, which is my favourite of the British Library crime classics so far. I also picked up Death of a Bookseller because bookish, also the 100th of the series that they've done with these forgotten crime classics. And the other one was Jumping Jenni, and I can't remember what it was about this one that particularly stood out. I think it was something along the lines of it saying it was a book that, oh, here we go. This 1933 novel remains a milestone of the inverted mystery subgenre, and I just thought that sounded really interesting, so I picked up those 3, kept them in my British Library bag for all that time. I'm not quite sure why I'm putting them back in it. I don't know, it just feels right. Speaking of book bags, as I mentioned, it was West Kirby Bookshop's first birthday, and having them not too far down the road, like far enough that I can't just walk there because that would be lethal, but having them just down the road is just such a joy, and I love what they've brought to the area in terms of the books they stock, just the vibe and the vibrancy they have, but also the brilliant author events and things. And so I picked up their new tote, which is this gorgeous, I'm calling it peach because I'm not a massive fan of orange, but I really like this shade, and yeah, filled it with books, frankly, so I thought I would share them with you. The first of which was The Glass Pearls by Emmerich Pressburger, and this is one of the Faber editions, again along with the Persephone classics, along with the British Library crime classics. There's something about books that have kind of gone under the radar having a resurgence that I just think is really lovely, so I got that one. There's a theme here because I also got Palace of the Peacock by Wilson Harris, which is also part of the Faber Editions series, and A Wreath for Udomo by Peter Abrahams. So yeah, I think I now have all of them. There's one coming out soon, I think it's called Mountain Lion, that I think looks amazing. Anyway, have these on for now. Then this book was raved to me by Juno Dawson when I had a coffee with her last month, and then Alice Slater also said how amazing it was. It's My Husband by Maud Ventura, and it's meant to be a really dark, twisty domestic thriller about a woman who slowly and surreptitiously, initially I think, but I think it gets more and more obvious as it goes on, punishes her husband when he does things wrong. That just sounds so interesting. In France, it has sold shed loads. I should say it's translated by Emma Ramadan. So yeah, I'll be reading this very, 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 very soon. I think this could also be a favourite book of the year. Another 5-star prediction, I guess. And actually, this is the last book that I bought for myself, but the next one I bought for Chris. I have a finished copy of... No, I don't. I have a proof copy on the shelves, but I think the finished edition is so stunning, and possibly I may be doing an event at West Kirby Bookshop with this author. It's The Other Side of Mrs. Wood by Lucy Barker. It's about 2 competing I nearly said competing Miriams. I don't know why my sister just popped into my head there. Anyway, 2 competing mediums in Victorian England. That to me sounds my kind of book. So yeah, and then last but not least, as I mentioned, I got Chris a book. This is Eat Around Italy, Recipes from Rome. And Eat Around Italy are going to be a series of books, starting with Rome, then heading to other places throughout Italy. And I'm looking forward to eating a lot of stuff that's in here. Not cheese and pepper pasta, actually. I've opened it at that page. I don't like pepper, but that was a lovely image. And just look at the pictures in here. I mean, it's absolutely stunning. Oh, honestly, this looks like it's going to have amazing things. Have we got any puddings I can share with you? She looks like fun, doesn't she? I'm trying to find a pudding. I'm trying to find a pudding. That's the story about, oh my God, warm pear and orange cake in milk chocolate soup. I want that this weekend. Anyway, there we go. So that was my July book haul. I thought that was going to be shorter and sweeter because I'd mentioned a few of these books before. Not the case. Never going to happen. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. If you have read any of these and you love them, let me know. If you didn't like them, don't let me know until I've read them, because I'm excited about them right now and I don't want anyone dimming that excitement. I nearly said a naughty phrase that links into that. But yeah, I hope you're all doing super duper well. As always, it's lovely having a chat with you. Thank you so much for joining me. And if you would like more of me, that sounds a little bit wrong, then you can head to my Instagram, my Threads, my Patreon, my wish list, my other channel, which I keep saying I'll do more videos on and don't get around to doing, but I will, I promise. August is quieter, so let's play catch up then. But yeah, I will see you in another video very, very soon. Bye.